Okay guys, so I'm finally out here on the water today, and of course we are going to be doing a test casting video of the hottest bait finesse reel of 2022 right alongside the new ALDEBARAN BFS. That of course is going to be the Kastking KESTREL Elite BFS. And the original plan was to go trout fishing, but unfortunately we've had a lot of rain here. So the river I go trout fishing in has been really blown out because they're discharging water. So we're just gonna cast around here, and it looks like there's a lot of action. Don't know if we'll catch anything, but we're gonna see what this Kestrel Elite is all about, because I know a lot of you guys have either pre-ordered it or just waiting for this video to decide whether you want to get one or not. But just to do a quick recap, this reel has the most insane specs of any bait finesse reel ever made. It's the lightest reel ever made, and it's got the lightest stock spool ever made. And it's also using a, I guess, somewhat different version of Shimano's FTV style dynamic braking system. But here out in the sun, you can see it's a very handsome reel. It's got this, I guess, satin finish on top of a dark gray color. And I have the rod mounted on the ASOX CU Double with the ultralight tip, and it looks perfect on this rod. It's got the gold accents that match up with the gold of the rod, but I got 4-pound fluorocarbon, and I pre-selected about 5 or 6 lures going down to, I think, 1.4, 1.5 grams. And we're gonna see what this Kestrel can do. Now, the thing about the Kestrel is that it's been out in China since April of this year, I think early April too. But there's really not been a lot, if any, reviews on it. So they kept this reel a secret for quite a while. And in fact, the only thing I've read about this reel is just a brief statement from Don Kuhn Fishing, who obviously have one of these reels, and they said they weren't impressed with it. So does that mean that it performed bad, or it just didn't perform to what they expected considering the specs? But it's time to form my own opinion, which is probably the best way to do things. And let's start off with the first lure. Okay, so the first lure we're going to start off with is the heaviest lure, and that's going to be this Duo Spearhead Ryuki 50 Suspend. Now with the snap swivel, you're looking at about 3.5 grams. And let's set up the Kestrel Elite. Now it's got a nice, precise clicking spool tension, and I'm gonna leave just a little bit of play. There you go. And we're gonna turn this really nice brake dial up to the maximum position, and let's start casting. Now, of course, especially with reels from China, the most important thing that you have to be concerned about is the braking power, because a lot of reels from China have impressive spool weights and specs and whatnot, but a lot of them seem to be underdeveloped when it comes to the actual brakes. And oh my God, there's a bass. You guys can't see him. There's a bass sitting right here. He's like 1.5 pounds. Wow, let's see if he'll take this. Maybe he got caught and he's just stunned. No, he's swimming away now. He's chasing fish, but he looks kind of like he's hurt. But anyway, let's start casting. I'm gonna cast out this way. Okay, so on the max brake, doing good so far. Had no issues. Now I did do a little bit of flick casting in the living room of my house, and it performed okay there, but you know, those are low speed presentations. You don't get a lot of spool speed, but so far on max brake, the Kestrel is performing. And I mean, we're probably getting close to 75 feet. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is off camera, I'm going to dial these brakes down as low as they'll go and show you what the Kestrel can do with this lure. Okay fellas, so I dialed down the reel to the lowest brake setting it will go, and that is number 7 on the brake dial, so that's going to be eight clicks out from maximum. And let me show you what the KESTREL can do. Now the reel makes a buzzing noise on the cast. Nothing loud. Oh crap. Nothing loud or obnoxious. Just a pleasant little hum. There are literally hundreds of thousands of little shad swimming around in these bait balls. I know you guys can't see them, but the bass are just gorging. But anyway, let's get back to casting. Now the thing about this brake setting is that I've dropped it down about 8 clicks, but the distance, it really was not that much better than the maximum brake position. That was a thought that I had when I unboxed the reel, was that because of the massive travel of its dynamic imitation FTV system, that it might be over braked, which of course is better than under braked. So we're probably getting around, I don't know, 85 feet. Now of course this is a smaller 28mm spool, so it's got to work hard to get these long distances. Okay, had a little overrun there, so I am definitely on the limit of the brakes. But the good news is that the brakes are plenty powerful enough. Plenty powerful enough. All right, one more cast and we're going to go down to a lighter lure. So can you guys tell the difference between now versus the maximum brake setting? In fact, I'm going to turn it up to the max setting, and yeah, you're probably looking at a difference of about 5 to 8 feet from maximum to, I guess, the lowest setting I could go. Okay, back to number 7. Oh, that went off to the left, but now it's time to go to an even lighter lure. Okay, so next up is going to be the Lucky Craft Pointer 48. With the snap swivel, you're looking at about 2.5 grams. So we're dropping down a whole 1 gram from the previous lure. And let me show you what the KESTREL can do. Now the brake setting is still on 7. I found that to be the best. And there we go. Now for some reason, I'm doing an overhead cast, but the lure kind of goes off to the left a little bit. Could that be the brake system? But we're getting probably a good 75 foot. Okay, I'm trying to hit that little bait ball right there. Okay, doing some sidearm. The KESTREL handles it easily. Now this lure on sidearm cast tends to tumble through the air, but no problems, no issues with the KESTREL Elite. But yeah, I'm casting out that way, but the lure is kind of going off to the left. I'm wondering if that's the brakes. Okay, had to make a slight adjustment, just a slight adjustment, and it's casting straight now. Maybe it was my wrist flick, but yeah, I think it was probably me, not the reel. But With such a light spool and strong brakes, this 2.5 gram lure is a breeze for this Kestrel. All right, let's go down even lighter. Okay guys, so next up is going to be a little micro crankbait that weighs about 1.4 grams on the scale. With this snap swivel, you're probably looking at about 1.5, 1.6 grams. So well under a 1/16 of an ounce. And let's see what this Kestrel can do. Brakes are set between 6 and 7. And no surprise, it easily cast this little micro crankbait. And we're probably getting at least 20 yards. Some sidearm. Now it's actually pretty pleasurable casting this Kestrel. Like I said, there's a slight hum and you can definitely feel it through the frame due to the fact that the frame is magnesium, but not quite as pleasurable as, let's say, the new ALDEBARAN, but it is definitely a nice experience casting this reel. And these knobs, I'm actually starting to like them. I see some little bass chasing this little crankbait in. But yeah, easily handling this little crankbait like it's nothing. All right, we'll do a couple more sidearm. No problems at all. Okay, let's go to the lightest lure yet. Okay guys, so the final lure we're gonna test is gonna be a trout magnet, but I'm not using the standard trout magnet head. I'm using this little jig head that I got from AliExpress. It's one of the jig heads I'm testing as a heavier alternative to the trout magnet jig head to give us a little bit more weight. And I'm not fishing a snap swivel, and I think this whole rig weighs about 1.4 to 1.5 grams. But I'll put a picture of all these lures on the scale for you guys. And I haven't set the brakes up yet, but the brakes are, let me show you how strong they are. So I've cranked the brakes to maximum, and I'm just gonna let this lure drop. Now keep in mind the spool tension is set to just a hint of side-to-side play, but that's how slow the lure falls when the brakes are set to maximum. So when I set them to minimum, it should fall much faster. Oh, and we had a fish take it. So yeah, whenever you're setting your spool tension, if you're the kind of person that likes to set it to where the lure falls and hits the ground, and you know there's only a couple of loops or whatnot, you want to, if your reel has magnetic brakes, which most of them do, you may want to remember that if your brakes are set too high, that's going to affect the fall rate. All right, so we're gonna crank the brakes to maximum and let's start casting. Okay, now if you guys remember in the last video, the Xenon LTX was having trouble casting this. Now it had a slightly different jig head, but the weight was the same as far as accuracy goes. It was going off to the left, and that's so far what I'm experiencing with this Kestrel. Now I think that's due to the brakes being too strong, so we're gonna crank these down to, damn it. What is this, a green sunfish? These guys are so damn greedy. I'm trying to do a casting video here, dude. Okay, so brakes, turn them down 2 clicks. They are on number 10. And let's see if the accuracy starts getting better. Now it slings it out there, no problem. But I'm casting this way. It's so far going off to the left. We'll go down 2 more clicks. Okay, slightly better. Spool perfectly controlled still. 2 more clicks, so we are on number 8. Oh crap, a little bit too much wrist snap there. All right, it is slinging this lure out there, but it's still going off to the left. Okay, much better. Now, I did adjust my release point a little bit, but keep in mind this is a full spool, and normally I would not be filling this spool even halfway, and I would be using 2-pound line when fishing a lure like this. Okay, much better, but wow. This Zephyr is just zinging this trout magnet with this 1/32 ounce jig head way out there, and easily, I might add. All right, let's go down 1 more click. I'm between 5 and 6 now, so I guess 5.5. Now, if I snap my wrist too much, it does go off to the left. Not as bad as the Xenon, but let's keep on going down. We are at 4.5 now. All right, got an overrun there, so I'm gonna turn the brakes at 1 click to 5. But yeah, this Kestrel has been pretty much trouble-free. All right, so trout magnet with a 1/32 ounce jig head easily does it. In fact, I'm gonna turn the brakes up 1 click. So I've turned the brakes up 2 clicks. That should allow me to cast a little bit harder. But one thing that I noticed is I think this spool, just from memory, is noticeably faster than, let's say, a DAIWA Alpha's Air. Noticeably faster, spins freer. And we're getting, damn it. Wow, big surprise. Another, what's that, a green sunfish or a bluegill? But what was I saying? Yeah, the spool spins up pretty fast. Now it's not nearly as fast as the 22 ALDEBARAN, but I would say it's definitely faster than the DAIWA air spools. And we're getting, God, probably close to 20 yards. Now keep in mind, this is not the, I guess, legit trout magnet test that I usually run when I'm using, you know, the lighter powered rod and 2-pound line where the spool is only filled not even halfway. That's gonna come later. But yeah, when you're casting lures this light, if you want to cast real hard, you're gonna have to turn the brakes up. If you kind of just want to flick it out there, you can keep the brakes down to keep that spool speed down. But it's just going to be up to you how you want to set your reel up with a lure this light, in conjunction to the way that you cast, of course. All right, let's do a few more casts, and we're going to do some overhead. Now I tend to swing pretty hard even with bait finesse when I'm trying to get the lure out there, but you don't have to do that with this reel. You know, you can just kind of wrist flick it out there and it'll handle it. There, that was just a little wrist flick. But yeah, I would say this is handling this type of lure, which is soft plastic with a jig head, right about 1.5 grams. A little bit better than that Xenon. Now it's kind of disappointing due to the fact that that Xenon spool is like over twice as heavy. We're talking a 4.5 gram spool versus a 10.5 gram spool, which is insane. But yeah, this is like easy work for the Kestrel Elite BFS. Okay, so now that we found out that this Kestrel Elite is indeed a legit BFS reel, the tough question is it worth the asking price of $220? Now, I'm not sure if on Kastking's website, if they charge sales tax, but I do know that at Tackle Warehouse, they will charge sales tax. And where I live, where it's 10%, that's gonna add an extra $22 to the price. Now, because of the, I guess, current exchange rate being so favorable for the US dollar, Kastking kind of released this reel at a bad time, because just for, I don't know, maybe $20 more, you can get yourself a proven DAIWA Alphas Air. Or maybe for even a little bit more than that, let's say $20 to $30 more than the Alphas Air, depending on where you buy it, you can get yourself the new ALDEBARAN BFS. Well, I mean, if you can find one. Or the DAIWA GACKALL Air. So, you know, maybe a year ago when the Alphas Air was hovering around 280 to 300, and the ALDEBARAN and the GACKALL would be about 320 from Japan, the price of the Kestrel would make more sense. But now with the exchange rate like it is, you know, just a little bit more money will get you proven JDM reels. But the question is, you know, even spending that little bit money more, are you getting anything better with those JDM offerings other than the name? And I'm talking performance wise. Or, you know, can you save a little bit of money and go down to the CURADO BFS? Or save a lot more money and go to the SLX BFS? So that's what we're gonna find out. I'm gonna be putting this Kestrel up against all the usual suspects, do a side-by-side casting comparison, and we're gonna see what's up. But I think the next thing I'm gonna do with the Kestrel is do the 1 gram child magnet test. So that means 2-pound line, the lighter powered Kuying Teton rod, and filling the spool probably barely a quarter of the way. And then we're gonna do the side-by-side comparisons with the other bait finesse reels. So there we go, guys. Kastking Kestrel Elite, it works. Now it's up to you if what you saw impressed you enough to, you know, order one or keep your pre-order. But in my opinion, based on palming the reel, pressing the thumb bar, turning the handle, and based on, you know, my budget, I don't regret spending the money buying this reel. But, you know, you gotta keep in mind that I pretty much buy every bait finesse reel that comes out. So, you know, keep that in mind when you're basing your decision on if you think this reel is worth it.